want, when I get out of here, to leave a country stronger than I came in. Donald Trump came in and basically has said, it's all about me.
I'm genuinely surprised how people close to Trump haven't talked about the odor. It's truly something to behold. Wear a mask if you can. And that's the Trump formula.
A little bit of a pungent odor, I would say, yeah. People were a little scared to talk about it, but it was obvious. Maybe it wasn't permanent or all the time, but it's there.
If Trump's body odor was a classified document, he'd keep it in a Mar-a-Lago bathroom. That's what Adam Kinzinger said on live TV, taking jabs not just at Trump's smell, but his whole character. From a shocking PSA to Secret Service code names, this isn't your typical political punch-up. But why did this revelation about his so-called aroma hit Trump so hard? Stay tuned to find out why this subtle insult could have a bigger impact than you think.
If he stands up and he talks about policy, he talks about issues, and talks about, like basically gives a speech he's never given before. But again, I mean, even today he put out a truth social that's like, I forget what it was, attacking Joe Biden, of course, and all the January 6ers who are really just hostages. An insurrection against our Capitol that was violent, that attacked police officers, that attacked innocent people, and pretending like it never happened.
Before we continue, if you appreciate this content, please take a moment to like the video and subscribe. It's free and it helps our channel grow. Thank you. Now back to the video. For years, Trump's supposed aroma floated around as a running joke, whispered about in late-night monologues and internet threads. But like many rumors about the man, it sat somewhere between absurd gossip and plausible reality. No one, however, expected a former Republican congressman, someone who once worked within Trump's political orbit, to step up and give these whispers a microphone. Yet that's exactly what Adam Kinzinger did during his recent appearance on Jimmy Kimmel Live. And it wasn't subtle either.
I'm a proud conservative. I always have been. As a proud conservative, I've always put democracy and our Constitution above all else. So while I certainly don't agree with President Biden on everything, and I never thought I'd be endorsing a Democrat for president, I know that he will always protect the very thing that makes America the best country in the world. Our democracy. And it's because of my unwavering support for democracy that today, as a proud conservative, I'm endorsing Joe Biden for re-election. That this is a stark choice. This isn't just, who do I agree with more on certain issues? I actually don't even really know where Donald Trump stands on many issues.
Kinzinger, a former Republican and key figure in the January 6th committee, has often been a thorn in Trump's side for calling out his behavior. But this time, instead of focusing on matters of policy or his role in the Capitol riot, Kinzinger took aim at something much more personal: Trump's hygiene. Kimmel, known for his sharp humor when it comes to Trump, set the stage perfectly, quipping about the former president's Mar-a-Lago bathrooms. The ones that allegedly held classified documents? But the real kicker came when Kinzinger casually mentioned what many had been joking about for years: that Trump might not smell all that great. The audience roared, not just because it was funny, but because it felt like Kinzinger had just confirmed what many suspected, but no one said out loud. On the spot, Kimmel couldn't resist throwing in his own joke, calling Trump the Tangerine Tornado, a dig at his infamous orange tan, and now his rumored less than pleasant scent. He even joked that Trump's eau de toilette might need a disclaimer about lingering side effects, especially if you spend too much time around him. It was the kind of roasting that's usually reserved for comedians, not sitting members of Congress, or at least former ones.
During a peaceful transfer of power, and then act like it's the other side that's created an environment where there is violence in our discussion. No, look, we have to be serious about this, but what we can't do, and this is what I get worried about, is that we're gonna be intimidated away from telling the American people the truth, which is Donald Trump truly is a threat to democracy. Fred Upton, a congressman from Michigan, he has what we call the Upton prophecies, where he kind of like predicts what's gonna happen in the future. And he told me on January 7th, he goes, Donald Trump's gonna run again. And I'm like, no way. I don't believe it, Fred.
To up the ante, Kimmel aired a mock PSA that perfectly captured the absurdity of the moment. It warned viewers of the hazards associated with Trump's alleged aroma, complete with exaggerated disclaimers about nausea, headaches, and the immediate urge to flee his vicinity. It was over the top, as all great comedy is, and yet it struck a chord. Moments after airing, clips of the segment went viral on social media. Memes flooded Twitter, mock advertisements for Trump-scented cologne popped up on Instagram, and number Trump smell trended for hours. It was as if Kinzinger's offhand comment had sparked a cultural moment. But why did Kinzinger, a figure known for his serious stance on Trump's leadership, stoop to something so trivial? That's the fascinating part. His bluntness resonated beyond just the laughs. It wasn't just late-night viewers giggling over the absurdity. Political analysts spoke up too, noting how this kind of humor has a way of cutting deeper than more straightforward criticisms. For everyday Americans, it was relatable, because who hasn't worked with someone who thought showering was optional? But for Washington insiders, it was almost revolutionary. Kinzinger had touched a nerve, particularly one tied to Trump's carefully crafted image of dominance. It didn't take long for Trump to catch wind of the remarks, and let's just say he didn't handle it well. Taking to Truth Social, in what might as well be his personal diary at this point, Trump unleashed a series of defensive posts. He called Kinzinger a washed-up loser and accused him of lying to stay relevant, a classic Trumpism. But here's what stuck out. He never outright denied the claim. Instead, his responses veered off into strange tangents about loyalty, betrayal, and how much everyone actually loves him. For a man who rarely lets an insult go unchallenged, his vague deflections only gave the jokes more fuel. After all, there's nothing the internet loves more than filling in blanks with its own outrageous imagination. What makes all of this even more impactful is how Kinzinger, unlike many Trump critics, didn't rely on legal accusations or dense political arguments. He humanized the criticism in a way that felt accessible to everyone. By bringing Trump down to earth, or downwind as Kimmel joked, Kinzinger effectively exposed a vulnerability so simple, yet so absurd, that even Trump's ardent fans couldn't entirely ignore it. Sure, it's easy to dismiss legal investigations as partisan attacks, but hygiene, that's something people judge instinctively. Let's face it, Trump has always been hyper-focused on how he's perceived. His brand is built on being larger than life, the billionaire mastermind who never stumbles, sweats, or apparently smells. So when Kinzinger tied something as basic as personal hygiene to Trump, it hit nerves beyond just humor. Kinzinger's jab wasn't about Trump's shower schedule. It was about ego and vulnerability. By bringing Trump down to earth, or at least back to the human smells of it, Kinzinger reminded people that the man behind the power suits and the carefully styled orange glow might not have it all together. This isn't the first time Trump's insecurities have been exposed. His need to control every narrative echoes through his public life. Remember his bizarre claims about needing to keep his hair dry, even using torrential downpours to justify skipping a visit to an American military cemetery abroad, or that infamous moment at Arlington National Cemetery where instead of focusing on fallen soldiers, he reportedly marketed the trip as an opportunity for political gain. These instances show a man so entrenched in his curated image of strength and perfection that anything disrupting it feels like a personal threat. Kinzinger's remarks tap directly into that vulnerability, unraveling the layers of bravado Trump's long relied on to mask his insecurities. And yet, this isn't just about optics or late-night punchlines. There's a strategy here. This kind of humor works because it chips away at the foundation of the image Trump built, one of competence, control, and superiority. When memes, comedy segments, and ads all take aim at something petty but personal, it creates a ripple effect. The Tangerine Tornado name becomes shorthand for everything people might question about Trump, from his temperament to his trustworthiness. Humor disarms people. It makes them laugh, sure, but it also makes them think about the deeper flaws a joke is highlighting. That's why satire has always been such a sharp political weapon. Even some of Trump's own supporters seem caught off guard by this. Social media erupted after the Kimmel segment, with some tweets defending Trump as misunderstood and others calling for him to let it roll off. Those aren't the words of a fired up fan base ready to storm the internet on his behalf. They're the words of people starting to recognize his fragility. And as much as Trump tries to project strength, his reaction to something as minor as a hygiene joke makes an outsized statement about just how thin his armor really is. What seemed on paper like a silly throwaway insult has now infiltrated political discourse. And it did so because it wasn't just about smell. It was about puncturing Trump's myth. The mention of personal hygiene became shorthand for instability and insecurity, two things no leader wants associated with their name. Kinzinger might have laughed when he said it, but the ripple effects were no joke. So now, the question becomes, if something so small can have this kind of blowback, what happens when bigger cracks start showing? Kinzinger's jab wasn't just about smell, it was about pulling back the curtain on Trump's polished public image. With a mix of humor and blunt honesty, he turned a petty joke into a bigger statement about the vulnerability vulnerabilities Trump works so hard to hide. The Lincoln Project's ads only added fuel, turning whispers into mainstream conversation, and catching Trump in the one trap he can't resist: overreacting. Whether or not the rumors hold up, his defensive meltdown says plenty. Sometimes it's the small cracks that expose the bigger flaws. Trump's reaction didn't just fan the flames, it practically lit the match.